This story is for everyone who keeps saying tomorrow, and never realizes how fast today is disappearing. In a small village, between open fields and old trees, there was a river. But this river was not like other rivers. Its water had a soft glow to it. Like someone had mixed a little bit of light into the water itself. Warm. Golden. Gentle. And if you looked carefully, you could see tiny golden grains moving inside the water. Slowly. Quietly. Like they had somewhere important to go. The people of the village had seen this river their whole lives. They thought nothing of it. It was just the river. It had always been there. But one old man in the village knew something about this river that nobody else did. Every single morning before the sun came up, this man walked to the riverbank, sat down on the same old smooth stone he had been sitting on for 50 years, and watched the water flow. Everyone in the village simply called him Grandfather. And every morning, sitting right beside him, was a small boy named Samir. Samir loved those mornings. The air was cool and fresh. The village was still quiet. The river glowed softly in the early light. And his grandfather's voice was calm and low, like everything was going to be okay. One morning the grandfather took Samir's small hand and pressed it gently into the dark wet soil at the river's edge. "Feel that," he said. Samir pushed his fingers into the soil. It was warm. Soft. Almost like it was alive. Every morning, the grandfather said, the river leaves fresh soil behind on these banks. There is no better soil anywhere in the world. Why is it so good? Samir asked. Because the river puts everything it has into it, the grandfather said simply. For whoever is ready to use it. He put a small seed into Samir's hand. Plant it. Right now. Today. Samir pushed the seed into the warm soil with one finger. The next morning there was already a tiny green shoot coming out of the ground. Samir ran to his grandfather laughing. Dada, it grew. Already. The grandfather looked at the little shoot. Then he looked at Samir. It grew because you planted it in this morning's soil, he said. Fresh soil. Not yesterday's. Not tomorrow's. Today's. By afternoon this soil dries out. By evening it gets hard. By the next morning you cannot plant anything in it. Only today's soil is soft enough. Only today. Samir looked at the river. At the gentle glow. At the little golden grains moving through the water. Will the river always be here, Dada? The grandfather did not answer right away. Plant something today, he said quietly. That is all I am asking. The years went by. Samir got older. Life in the village got busy. And slowly, without even noticing, he stopped going to the river in the mornings. There was always something. School. Friends. Sleep. A reason to stay in bed a little longer. His grandfather still went every single morning. Alone now. Same stone. Same time. Same quiet hands pressing into the fresh soil before it dried. Sometimes in the afternoons the grandfather would find Samir and ask him the same simple question. What did you plant today, Samir? And Samir would always smile and say, Tomorrow, Dada. I will go tomorrow. The river is not going anywhere. The grandfather never argued with him. He would just look at Samir for a moment. Then look back at the river. And say nothing. Samir had big plans. He was going to plant the most beautiful garden the village had ever seen. A whole orchard along the riverbank. Flowers everywhere. Fields of wheat. He drew it all out by lamplight at night. He talked about it. He thought about it. But every morning when the soil was fresh and warm and ready, Samir was somewhere else. He did not notice the years passing. He did not notice his grandfather walking slower. He did not notice the river. One evening the grandfather did not come home for dinner. Samir found him sitting alone at the riverbank in the dark. Just sitting. Looking at the water. His old hands quiet on his knees. "Dada, it is late. Come inside." The grandfather looked up. His eyes were calm. Very clear. "Sit with me for a little while," he said. Samir sat down beside him. They did not talk for a long time. The river moved past them slowly. And Samir noticed something. The glow was different. Softer. Weaker. Like a candle that is almost finished. "Something is wrong with the river," Samir said slowly. "It has been changing for a long time," the grandfather said. "You just did not notice because you were always going to come tomorrow." Samir felt something uncomfortable in his chest. "Is it leaving, Dada?" The grandfather turned and looked at his grandson. "The way you look at someone you love when you are trying to remember their face. Everything that flows has a beginning and an end, Samir. The river. The seasons. Our days. Everything." He put his old hand on top of Samir's. "I need you to start planting. Not tomorrow. Today. Tomorrow is just a word people use to feel better about doing nothing." "I will, Dada," Samir said. "I promise. Tomorrow morning we will go together. First thing." The grandfather looked at him. Then he looked at the river. He did not say anything. That night Samir slept well. In the morning he woke up late. He thought about his promise. He told himself he would go to the river after breakfast. After he washed. After just one small thing. By mid-morning he walked to his grandfather's room. The bed was empty. Neatly made. He walked to the river. The smooth stone was there. The river flowed past it quietly. But his grandfather was not there. Just his old walking stick leaning gently against the stone. Samir stood very still. They found the grandfather that morning in his small garden behind the house. Sitting against an old tree he had planted many years ago. His eyes were closed. His face was completely peaceful. In his hand, a single seed. He had been planting on his very last morning. The days after were very quiet. Samir started going to the river every morning. He pressed his hands into the soil. He planted whatever he could. But the soil was thinner now. The glow in the water was almost gone. The golden grains barely visible even in the early light. He looked at his neighbor's land. Full orchards. Golden wheat fields. Beautiful gardens. All of it grown slowly over years of showing up every single morning and planting something. Samir's land was almost empty. One morning he woke up and the village was completely silent. No sound of the river. He ran outside. The river was still. The glow was gone. The water had stopped moving. And as the sun came up that morning, the last of the water passed slowly through the village, and disappeared. By the afternoon the riverbed was dry. Just dry cracked earth. And in the cracks, a few golden grains. Already hardening in the sun. Samir walked into the dry riverbed and sat down. He picked up one small golden grain and held it up. And sitting there in that empty riverbed, he heard his grandfather's voice. As clearly as if the old man were sitting right beside him on that smooth stone. Plant it today. That is all I am asking. Tomorrow is just a word people use to feel better about doing nothing. The river gives everything it has, to whoever is ready. Samir closed his hand around that one small grain. He walked to the bank. He pressed it into the earth. And he began. Not because conditions were perfect. They were not. Not because he felt ready. He did not. but because he finally understood what his grandfather had known his whole life. Time moves in one direction. Always forward. Never back. We say tomorrow so many times, that one day we look up and there are no more tomorrows left. The river does not wait. The morning does not wait. The fresh soil does not wait. We think we have all the time in the world. And then one morning we wake up and the riverbed is dry. But even then, even in that last grain in your hand, there is still today. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is not promised. But right now, this moment, is still yours. So let me ask you something before you move on. If there is someone you have been meaning to call them today. Not tonight. Today. If you have been putting off starting that business, take one small step today. Just one. If you have been saying you will sleep better and eat better, start tonight. Your body is the river too. And if there is someone you need to apologize to, go to them today. Before the river runs dry between you. Do not be Samir standing in a dry riverbed wondering where the time went. The river is still flowing. Whatever it is, plant something today. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Someone in your life is standing beside a glowing river right now and saying tomorrow. They do not know how close the silence is. Send them this story. It might be exactly what they need. And if you are new here, welcome to Mystic Life Tales. Every week we bring you stories like this one. Simple stories with deep lessons. Stories that make you think and feel and see your life a little differently. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you never miss one. Until next time, remember. The river is still flowing. Plant something today.